This is your invitation to Lawntrepreneur Academy Live 2023 in Novi, Michigan, Saturday, November 11th. The lineup is power-packed. You won't want to miss it. Learn from incredible speakers like Leroy Maines, Keith Kalfas, Caleb and Brittany Allman, Sam Gimble, Weston Zimmerman, and Jeff Joyner, just to name a few. Tickets are on sale now at the early bird registration price of $197. And hurry, because seating is limited to just 300. Now through August 31st, purchase the whole ball of wax and receive a free ticket to LAL 2023, a $200 value. Once you purchase your ticket, you'll be added to our private Facebook group, where you can network with other attendees, get access to the discounted hotel room block, and get the inside scoop for the Friday night party, brought to you by Kohler. Thank you to this year's sponsors, Exmark, Sure Track Trailers, Yard Book, and Boss Snowplow for helping to bring this incredible event to life. We can't wait to see you November 11th, Novi, Michigan, at Lawntrepreneur Academy Live 2023. Get your ticket today at lawntrepreneur.academy.com or use the link in the podcast description. Lawntrepreneur Academy Live.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
My name is Jason Wilk, Senior Product Manager here at Echo. So been with Echo Power Equipment now for 17 total years. Been in the power equipment industry for about 25 now. So my entire working career, right up until the 2 years of tech schooling I went through at the end of high school, has all been power equipment related. So just excited to run through some of the topics and discuss kind of industry and new product development with you, Brian.
I love it, man. You're so two things I got to say. Number one, outside of the quote, the messaging points that we want to work through, I just genuinely love talking to you, man. You're a great dude. I remember back when I was part of the UAG thing, and we were doing that for a few seasons, and I'd always gravitate towards talking to you and a couple other key folks there, and we just had good feedback, good chemistry, It was always fun getting to chat with you, and I tried to pick your brain, and probably was the annoying guy in the corner always asking you another detailed question, because I'm a detail head. But number two, I don't want to take it for granted that we get folks of your caliber on the show. Of course, we're getting a lot of guys that are in the industry and in the field and have their own business. Sure. And love hearing from them, but I also always have the red carpet out for anybody from the company side to let us know the latest and greatest, what's new, what's working, and how we can grow our businesses better. And us all working together makes this a beautiful thing. So like I said, today's podcast topic, I wanted to see, and we can plug some product as we go, but what have you guys noticed a lot of people start with in the industry in terms of handheld equipment, and then as they continue to grow, you guys have a different product lines to boot. So why don't you share with us for a few minutes, if you want, open mic, where do people get started in the Echo product line? What attracts them to Echo? First off, maybe even could be a good one. And then where do they go after they cycle through that first or second piece of equipment, going maybe towards the more of the pro line, I would imagine.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. No. Throughout my career, I've talked to so many people and heard so many different stories about how they kind of got into the industry, right? So into the industry, mowing lawns, what product out of the gate they started with, how they got into Echo product. I mean, I've heard stories, everything from I literally trash picked an old SRM 2100 Echo trimmer, put a spark plug in it, cleaned up the fuel filter, started, and then I used that in my business for the next year or two until I could afford, a new unit.
Sure.
All the way up until, a lot of people, kind of your first go-to is, a big box retailer or a dealer, and you really don't have the knowledge of kind of how different qualities of product are built. So sometimes you're just buying off of spec comparisons, right? So it's like, oh, this Echo is 21 cc's and this unit is 25 cc's and it's cheaper, so it must be, better, right? And then you find out that particular unit's falling apart in the first 3 months that you're using it, right?
Right.
Usually what we see is a lot of kind of what we refer to as our opening price point units You know, just one thing kind of clear for everyone is everything Echo makes is commercial grade across the board, right? So, I mean, you find the same type of durability and quality components in a $199 string trimmer as you do in our $369, SRM 2620. So even though it's an opening price point unit, you still get a really good air filtration system, and you get, dual compression rings or, chrome plate cylinders, kind of dependent upon the model and whatnot. So usually people will start with, the opening price point units. And then once you're familiar with the product, like, wow, this actually does the job I need. It starts when I need it to. I've been using this thing for several years. It still runs like it's new. They start investigating kind of, well, what's in a $230 trimmer or $299 trimmer, $300 trimmer plus. And then you start realizing you kind of have some of those, step ups in power. So maybe you find yourself completing the job faster. You get a little bit more comfort features to where maybe it's got a bigger vibration reduction system or a handle system to where it's more comfortable to hold for 6-7 hours a day. Or it has, air filtration systems that allow extended service. So you're not checking the air filter every day. Maybe you can go several weeks without having to maintain it or, tap it out or blow it out any of the debris. So we usually see people kind of starting that journey of going from our opening price point units and then seeing the value in the product line as you step up in price points. But also, too, not just from a product step up strategy, but just from a product standpoint, a lot of times when you're getting in this industry, it's, probably like yourself, a 1 or 2 man crew, right? So it's hard to invest in, a dedicated string trimmer and dedicated hedge clipper and dedicated pole printer, all these tools that obviously are very beneficial to what you do day in and day out, to where we see people initially getting in the industry looking into what we call our pro attachment series. You can call it a combo system or a multi-attachment system. But basically the beauty of the system is it gives you one power head, right? So one engine that you have to worry about maintaining and storing in your trailer on your in your truck. And then what you can do is then attach all these different attachments to it, right? So you can take that one power head, turn it into a string trimmer, turn it into a hedge clipper, turn it into a pole printer, and save a substantial amount of money up front because you're not buying new engines and power heads with every category of product that you're buying.
Sure.
So we see that a lot of pros getting into that market, starting off with our pro attachment series. As you grow and you have multiple people on your crew, usually you don't want someone standing around, waiting for your power head. Like, hey, I need to trim this head. When are you going to be done trimming? Right.
Right.
So then that naturally kind of morphs into, okay, now we need dedicated, product because I don't want people standing around waiting for my power head to come available. Right.
Makes a lot of sense. So that is a really fun conversation because I did start with I wasn't, I'll just say trash picking, but man, I tell you what, there's so many guys out there that I've heard hundreds of stories, I'm sure like you have, where they picked up a handheld, like you had said, or something, and changed a couple components out and they got it back running. I literally just had an old push mower. This is, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I put it curbside at my mom's and some little guy literally up the street from me took it and he replaced a couple components. And one day, like it wasn't but a week or two later, I was driving by and I saw a homie mowing his lawn with my lawnmower. And I said, I literally went up to him. His name is Art. And I know the guy. He's a good guy. And I said, Art, what do you, I said, where'd you get that mower? And he goes, oh, it was at your mom's house. And he goes, was that your mower? And I go, yeah. I said, it was DOA, man. And I definitely put the hours through it, and it was a good little mower for what it was at the time. And he goes, oh no, all I had to do was clean this up, and he was obviously a little bit more mechanically inclined, and got it running. And so I'm like, damn it, like I could have just got that mower back for $50 and $50 in parts, but it does pay to be a good mechanic. So that is funny, like how some of us just get started with, hand-me-downs, or I actually had, Jason, don't laugh, but I got, I don't even know the brand, honestly, but it was my first trimmer, my first edger, and my first backpack leaf blower were used, returned item, clearanced, open boxed items at Sears on the shelf.
Okay.
Like, brother, like I don't even know what brand that was back in the day, but it was clearance open box returned off the shelf.
Okay.
Like it was $300 worth of stuff for like $41. You know what I mean? And
Sure. Yeah.
but dude, that's where it started. Actually, I remember the Edger specifically. The clutch was definitely fused, and the Edger blade was spinning when you would start it. Like that's how rough my first Edger was. So now we got I think the Pro Extreme, 20, whatever the SKU is for the Edger, the Echo Edger. It's the curve shaft one. It's a monster. Okay, so it's like, man, we've come quite a far ways from from where we started. Okay, hey, let me ask you this. I want to throw a small curveball, a little lob up.
Sure.
This is a funny one, and maybe you guys got some good stories. My friend Mike Bedell and I, he's like a pseudo economist. Okay, like he's very intelligent. He's a money guy. He's a finance guy. Lawn landscape business owner, of course, as well. We have a question that I said one time. I was talking to Mike. I said, I'll write this one down. I got some notes here, so I'm trying to do some prep. And I said, next time I talk to Jason, I'm going to ask Jason this question. And so it's not a trick question or anything, but we have a question. The last couple of years, the economy's been a little wild. The supply chain's been a little bit wild. Pricing's been wild, but correct me if I'm wrong. The SRM 225 is still, you know where I'm going with this. It's still the same price point when I started my business 20 years ago at Home Depot, which that's a sweet trimmer. Some of you, I know so many guys that run 225s because they just burn through them after a couple of years and quick replaceable trimmer. But, somebody made a joke once I saw on Instagram. It said, the handled inflation for the president administration, whoever was the guy that did the Lipton iced teas and the Arnold Palmers, because they've been 99-cent iced teas for 25 years. That's got to be the same guy that should run the administration for inflation. And I said, or the same product manager for the SRM 225. So what did you guys just like get a great price at Home Depot? I know this is totally no value, but did you guys just get Home Depot at a good price back in the day? And you're like, hey, we got plenty of margin. Or how are you guys keeping the price down for some of the top quality products that you guys make?
Yeah, I can tell you it's extremely tough, and it's even funny. Even looking back further than that, when I first started here back in 1999, I remember talking to some of the guys that are now retired. So we're like, oh, when I got in this industry back in the 70s, we had a $169 curve shaft trimmer, and then fast forward, 30 years at that time, we were still sitting at a $169 curve shaft trimmer, a $199 straight shaft trimmer.
Sure.
And it's crazy how those price points have kind of held. Obviously, with the COVID era and everything skyrocketing and freight going up, it was an extreme challenge to keep those price points. And those price points are key. I think it's more from a psychosomatic standpoint of, keeping it at that $199. It's like, oh, I'll pay $199 for a trimmer, but I'm not paying $200.
Right.
There's like
I get it.
Something that happens when you get over that 200 mark threshold retail standpoint. But we've done some things with, a lot of opportunities where we can insource things, right? So, for the most part, we're making a good portion of all the components obviously used on an Echo trimmer. So, the engine, the piston, the cylinder, all that stuff, right? But there's also things that we were sourcing, and as everyone does, like we don't make our own carburetors, right? We don't make our own spark plugs. But there were things that we were sourcing that we looked at and said, if we brought this manufacturing in-house, is there an opportunity to pay a little bit more upfront in getting this investment in tooling or machining? But in the long run, will save us money to where we can, maintain these competitive price points. And obviously, you've been to our Lake Zurich manufacturing plant. You've seen all the stuff going on back there, right?
Yeah.
There's some items you may have seen recently, kind of the fuel tank look a little different on our SRM 225. That's one of the items that we used to rely on an outside blow molder to make that part for us. Obviously, their cost went up. They tried passing on cost to us, and we sat back and said, okay, if we're making, hundreds of thousands of fuel tanks, if we can do it in-house, can we save some money there? So we actually did a whole investigative study, and now we manufacture those fuel tanks or injection molded right here in Lake Zurich. We're not relying on an outside supplier. And that's probably one of the best examples because the visual, especially to the end user, you can see kind of that transition happening. But there's also some things like, the drive shaft liners that we're now manufacturing in-house, and some other things that we're able to bring that in-house, bring our cost down, and maintain that competitive, $199 price point.
That's awesome. I didn't even know all that. And frankly, next time, I don't care if it's at my cost. I want to come over there and see the facility because I haven't been over there until. Sure. You guys said we're just about to launch the new wing or section or building. That was 4 years ago, maybe. I mean, time flies. I was watching Paul Kamara. I know he's part of the UAG. I think this year he's a council member or whatnot. And I think he got over there, and you guys were doing a factory tour. I saw something on Instagram, and I'm like, man, I think they were building some stuff on the line with some of the employees, and I'm like, that's actually pretty dope. It's been a minute since I've been over there, and it was a really fun factory tour. But that's actually a pretty cool answer to me being a little bit of a butt with a funny question, because we all had to do that. I mean, in every way, shape, or form, we all had to get more efficient, look at our business, analyze some different things. Make investments where we needed to on equipment or personnel, and downsize, right size, just get more lean, more efficient. So that's an interesting. It happens all across the whole industry, as you can imagine. And in fact, there's a mower brand that I really enjoy that I get to use pretty much daily, and they're in the exact same point where they said like, hey, we want to get a mower at that $10,000 range, let's say. And it's always kind of been at that $10,000 range. And, since COVID, it ballooned to almost double the price, literally. Yeah. And they're like, we're not happy with that either. It's business, it's economics. There's only so much we can do, but we're looking at some different options to maybe come back at that price point. And so, who knows where things go in the future. Right. But we're always constantly evaluating the business model, and hey, we all got to make money at the end of the day. And, that's a really, really fun story. One other quick question I had for you, I wrote a couple notes down, is I am subscribed to, and I'm just going to hop all over the place, but if you want to point this thing in a different direction, holler at your boy. But I saw on the Equip newsletter that you guys had a bunch of new chainsaws that had just debuted, and I'm actually in the market for a chainsaw. That's not me trying to get one out of you guys. I was going to pick up a Timberwolf, but we ended up just using a Milwaukee battery powered one for a small. There was a tree that fell over. We cut it up. It took 2 hours, but my guys are like, hey, so the battery's cool, it's great, but we keep seeming to prune down a bunch of trees in the winter more often lately, and it's some good extra side hustle cash when not too much going on in the winter. So I'm like, dude, Echo's got a sweet one, this Timberwolf, but I don't know. Now you guys got 4 new ones, so now I'm back to the drawing board about what's the latest and greatest. So you got a quick second to talk to us about all the different chainsaws that you guys have out now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we got, as you know, we're obviously developing and released some new battery powered chainsaws, right? But we're not letting our foot off the gas on developing new gas powered products also. And we did recently launch a couple new chainsaws. And these were pretty much units that were kind of due for, I'd say, kind of a refresh in our product line, right? The first one being the CS400 has been around forever. I think that dates back probably 15 plus years. Great saw, super reliable, awesome performance. I mean, it really just, it's like one of those things where if it ain't broke, don't fix it type thing. Okay. But as new chainsaws started to kind of morph in design, we started kind of updating the overall outlook. The CS400 was really kind of the odd man out, right? It was like really time to refresh that. So we said, can we take this thing that's been proven for a decade and a half now? What can we do to make it better? Can we update the look, make it look like more of a family with some of the other new products that we've launched over the last 5 or 6 years? And what we did there is basically, it's a new model. It's called the CS4010. It's a 4010. So it's about almost 1 pound lighter. So we were able to line it up, which the CS400 was actually great on power to weight ratio as it was. And then we were actually able to squeeze about 13% more power out of it than the 400. So we took a unit, pulled a weight of almost a pound, increased power by 13%, and made like the ultimate replacement for the CS400. Great saw, great for firewood cutting. I used the CS400 for years just because it was that nice balance of power. You know, you're not lugging around a 60 cc saw if you're cutting all day. It doesn't wear you out. It was only in the 40 cc range. So real lightweight, not the fastest cutting saw in the world, but you just work it all day. It's nice and smooth, very low on vibration. I use it primarily for firewood cutting, but this new CS4010, it's basically the 400 on steroids. Cuts much faster. It's even lighter. It's a phenomenal saw. So that was one of the 4 saws.
When it comes to running a lawn and landscape business, there's always something to worry about. Are my drivers and crews doing their job? Are my clients happy? Are my trucks and machines safe? How can I make more money? Where can I save some money? With GPS Track It, you don't have to worry about it, because our software gives you a level of clarity and control over your business that you've never had. From real-time vehicle and asset tracking and optimized routing to efficiency reports and more, reach your fullest business potential. Call 866-845-1410 or visit gpstrackit.com/BrianLM to get started. That phone number and special link are in the show description. GPS Track It. Start planning today to celebrate the 40th Equip Exposition Trade Show this October 17th through the 20th in Louisville, Kentucky. Expo is the best place for landscapers to find the latest equipment, tools, and technology to get more productive and efficient. And then you can go into our 30-acre demo yard and test the products for yourself. Explore new business opportunities in one of our 50-plus education sessions and learn firsthand from experts in landscaping, hardscaping, irrigation, pool installation, tree care, and outdoor lighting. And don't miss the new Thursday night arena concert with Third Eye Blind and Dylan Scott. Also, there's our UTV test track and our main stage events with top-notch speakers like Brian Fullerton, all for just $25 per person if you register during our early bird sale. And you can even save 50% off that price with the coupon code BRIAN.
We did come out with a new 50 cc saw. So this one was a little bit slightly of a change on the 4910. We just slightly kind of redesigned the styling a little bit. So not as much of a huge difference in specs like the story is with the 400 and the 4010. But again, a little bit redesigned. We did add a purge bulb just to make, reduced amount of pulls for starting it. So just a couple small upgrades on the new 4920. And then we had 2 saws in the lineup already. Those basically just got a different type of bar and chain combination on them. So I think everyone's familiar with our CS2511T top-handled saw. Great saw, 25 cc, right? We had that in a top-handle configuration and a rear handle configuration. Oregon, who's our main supplier for bars and chains, came out with this new nano chain. It's a completely different chain geometry of how it cuts. And basically they designed this chain to remove a lot of the chatter and actually kind of increase the speed of cut. The chain was originally developed for battery powered saws, but we put it on a couple of gas saws, and it makes a big noticeable difference to where the 2 of these saws we're going to have in the lineup as we did with the standard Oregon bar and chain. And then we added 2 new ones that will now have this new nano chain. So the user can kind of pick if they want standard or the upgraded cutting performance. It's about a $10 difference at retail, but we're going to have all of the TNs with the T, all 4 models kind of in the lineup at the exact same time together. We're not discontinuing one for the other.
What was the top handles, the chainsaws that were released? Was that 2019 or 21 after the COVID? It's all a blur that whole 2 years, but I know they were like the big display at the booth at the Equip Expo.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that was right around. I want to say it was that 2020. Yeah, like you said, 19 or 20, but yeah, it was a new redesigned top-handled saw, and I think that unit just kind of took the industry by storm. I mean, we couldn't make those things fast enough. It's so lightweight, and that thing just screams. It's a great saw.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, like I said, I saw the newsletter on the Equip Expo newsletter, I should say, that came in a week ago or more recently, and I'm like, hey, perfect time. I'm going to catch up with Jason here. So that's another great thing to talk about. And I definitely need to pick up a gas powered chainsaw just to have on hand. We've been using some great battery product ones. I think we actually have the Echo one as well, and they've served a role. But if you're more of a professional seasoned tree guy out there, and you guys know what I'm talking about, you probably want the big roaring two-stroke engine. That's a fact. That's awesome.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, let me ask you this. I want to circle back to the top of the hour and maybe wrap up with this thought is, as the company continues to grow, a lot of the stuff that we start with obviously isn't what we're going to be using 2, 3, 4 years into it. And so as a lot of guys are starting to cycle through some of their earlier equipment, where can they expand to and through the Echo product line? I know if you guys are listening in, you're more than likely familiar with the Echo brand, but I want to talk about some of the SKUs, some of the power, the CCs on some of these different pieces of equipment, because man, I think you said it earlier, Jason, like when you're looking to expand and those minutes start to matter, and you're trying to get as efficient as possible with mowing 100 lawns a week or these big apartment complexes, like Caleb Ullman's got a great line from the Kid Contractor podcast: get the best thing you can afford at the time. Well, in the beginning, that SRM 225 at Home Depot or your dealer, hey, that's not a bad option. What you start with, though, obviously it might not be what you finish with. And as you go and you upgrade into like the 2620 or whatnot, for example, that thing screams. That trimmer is amazing. So where can people, if they're just starting off with some of the Echo line, I don't mind if it's a little bit of a product pitch, but where do people start with the Echo lineup? Maybe trimmers, blowers, chainsaws, hedge trimmers, and then where can they graduate to in case next time they're at Equip Expo and they're at the Echo booth, they can take a look at these or at their local dealer?
Yep. Yeah, no, it's a great question. So, I mean, just kind of starting out of the gate with trimmers, like you said, the SRM 225, great straight shaft trimmer, 21 cc's, nice comfortable grips, things built like a tank, last forever, right? So then, like I said earlier, like everything we make is, commercial grade, right? We don't really have like a low end consumer and then, work into commercial. What we do is we take the base as a really good commercial unit, and then we start adding other features or changing some components to it. So usually we get the question of, okay, you got an SRM 225, but why do you have 16 other trimmers in your lineup? Like, what is the difference? Do you really need that many? And really, as you kind of start progressing through the product line, you'll start to see the displacements go up. So we go from a 21.2 to a 25.4, up to a 30, up to a 42.7. And usually as you go up in, power, right, engine displacement, you're going to increase power. Well, the more power you have, that's where that time is money factor, right? So you're going to have more power to the cutting attachment. You're going to be able to cut through that grass faster than a smaller displacement unit. You may be able to walk faster. You may not have to stop and go over the same area, multiple times. That's where you're going to see the difference of a 21 cc versus a 25 cc unit, right?
Sure.
And then also with that power, you're probably going to be carrying this thing around for long periods of time. You're using 5-6+ hours a day. We can actually take some of the components that are lightweight aluminum, like on a 225, and actually convert those to magnesium. So magnesium is considerably less in weight than the aluminum, but just as durable, right? So now we can start increasing your power and reducing weight, which is important if you're using it commercially. And then we can do things like putting extra heavy-duty air filtration systems on it, maybe a little bit different type of grips, a little bit more ergonomically designed grips that are kind of a step up in premium. Usually what we find is if people go from like a 21 to, like you said, the 25cc or the 2620 series is what we call it, that's kind of the sweet spot. Do we have trimmers above and beyond that? Yeah, we have a 42.7. Most people go, okay, for that power, how much power do I really need? Do I need to be running with my string trimmer? Do I really want to be carrying that extra weight? So it's kind of a balance, right, between the two. And what we've done without our entire product line, just to kind of make what the ultimate kind of, best product model within a category is we've identified them as and labeled them as an X series product, right?
Okay.
So what X series identifies is kind of the best in class product. That's going to be the product that's going to be your best power to weight ratio and have kind of all your step up features from a commercial standpoint. And that pretty much is the same through our entire product line. So, same principles as trimmers as it is with blowers. So, an X series blower may have rubber over molded grips, may have a little different tube design, have a different air filtration system, but anything labeled X series is really that perfect balance of power to weight, and really targeted for that professional landscaper. Can you go up in power on any of the X series? Sure. Can you go down and get less power? Absolutely. But flipping through a catalog, that X series is basically the number one identified product within the category, and that was built specifically for a commercial landscaper.
That is a great, I love that. That's a great way to say it. I mean, that I couldn't have said it better. Like, if you guys are going to the your local dealer and they've got the product showcase wall that is just like a fishing lure, and
right.
You're like, look at all the shiny equipment and like the angels sing and they got the perfect little LED lights on all this stuff, right? But if you go over there and just say, I want Echo, I want the X series, and they're going to say, no problem. Here's the 2620 trimmer, 2620 edger, the 9010 leaf blower that sounds like one of Jason's dirt bikes. Dude, that thing, what's the CC on that? Isn't it like 80 or something like that?
Yeah, 79.9 cc's to be exact. So yeah, just shy of 80 cc. It's like having a dirt bike engine on your back.
I was gonna say, what is that, like a 150 dirt bike or something? Like that's, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
They're probably like, Jason, here's our price point, here's our budget, and here's our R&D budget. Go to town and you dismantle one of your old dirt bikes. And if you guys listen to Jason and us on our previous episode, we talked dirt bikes for about 10 minutes last year, and which is good stuff. But it literally does sound like you hear it when one starts up. I was at Liz and I went up to a vacation spot. It's called Bay Harbor, Michigan, and when we were at the boat show there, I heard a leaf blower start up, and I told Liz, I'm like, that's a XYZ PDQ leaf blower, and she goes, how do you know? I go, it's just the engine. I'm like, I know which engine it was. It wasn't an Echo, go figure, but she's like, you're a weirdo. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, you just learn by your ear what's out there. And the 9010, it's like boom, 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 dude. It's the dirt bike. So, but that is good to know. If you guys are graduating through the product line, I know a lot of you guys listening in. You guys, same thing, can identify any mower, any engine, anything, anywhere. But for a lot of you guys that are just, 6 months into this thing and you're like, hey, where do I go from here? And you're still learning SKUs and you're still flipping through catalogs, like, late night at 10 p.m. That's what I did for years. I'm like, man, one day, can you imagine getting an Echo, PB770, like that was the Cadillac, 4 or 5 years ago. And then they came out with the X series line. I mean, it's okay to dream build, and it's okay to eyeball that next piece of equipment and know what you want to build into and expand into. And I know some of you guys, you go into your spring dealer, parts and equipment order, and you're like, I need 6 leaf blowers and 6 trimmers. And some of you guys take photos and you got 30 new leaf blowers. I get it. That's cool. That's awesome. Thank you for the business. But for some of you guys that are just going from your 225 to a 2620, like, that's a huge leap. That's an awesome development in your business. And I'm going to be right there every step of the way, celebrating your guys' next win with you guys as you guys are celebrating my next wins with me. I mean, that is no small deal to go from, a $200, handheld leaf blower to your first $500-$600 backpack blower. That's awesome. I never try to lose sight of that. You know what I mean, Jason? Like,
sure.
These leaf blowers are not cheap, and you guys are making investments in your business to grow. It's a beautiful thing. So, that's what I got, kind of, Jason, on my 4 or 5 bullet points that I wrote down that I wanted to pick your brain. Sure. Let me do this really quick. I want to get any parting thoughts that you want to leave us while we got you. I know Equip's around the corner and all that and all that hype, but you've been working with Echo for 17 years, And not don't give us the corporate answer. Give me the give me the what still makes you excited about waking up in the morning, going into the office, building the next latest and greatest product. I mean, I think I was there like I said, 5 years ago at Echo Night, and you had said it takes 7 years or something like that in R&D to make a chainsaw. So think about the stuff you guys are making now that we don't even know that's coming out. Like, what gets your mojo and your blood flowing in the morning about Echo and helping these guys grow their business? What's in it for you?
Yeah, you know what? For me, I mean, I originally got into this because I was kind of a gearhead, right? I loved engines. I loved two-stroke engines. I loved everything about it, right? So I was like entrenched into just learning the technology. And then, throughout the years, you kind of start to, as I grew personally, kind of in different roles and through the organization, all of a sudden it's like, well, it's not just about the technology. It's how the technology interacts with the user, right? So when you have, a new product that you've seen from basically a napkin sketch idea, right? Like, oh, we want this biggest, baddest blower and, blower tubes that are 4.5 inches in diameter, right? All the way up until talking to somebody saying, wow, the 9010, it sounds awesome. It runs great. Best blower. Like for me, it's like you kind of sit back and go, holy cow, that's a really good feeling, right? I mean, you're seeing like the concept all the way to the field to get some feedback, and I'm able to clean up my jobs faster. I'm, cleaning up more yards quicker and putting more money in my pocket, or saving time, and I can spend it with my family. Like that's really, really cool for me. But what's also interesting too is I'm almost like a kid in a candy shop again with some of the new technology that's coming out, right? Obviously, you've seen a push from all manufacturers, including us, with some of the battery development, right? So all my tech training, I started on the tech side, on the service side, has always been engine related, right? So now that we've been going into deeper dive into full new technology, it's really amazing what you can do when you start incorporating computer chips and basically computers in the power equipment, and how you can manipulate acceleration and power curves. And so I've been geeking out over the last few years, just seeing the basically computer technology incorporated into the power equipment, which traditionally was, a pretty basic two-stroke design that's been around since the 50s. So to see that kind of shift and see the product shift, but then still have the same result of, wow, I love this, battery powered string trimmer because it's quiet, or I can start in the morning, or, I can start my day sooner and get home with my kids. It kind of all ends up in the same, feel good at the end of the day, but how it's happening completely two different paths, from 1950s technology to 2020 technology. The whole thing is just, every day I'm just in awe of how this industry kind of grows and the product grows. And, when I started here back in 99, someone said, what would you see yourself doing in, 2023 now? Developing the power and level of some of these battery equipment that we're developing is I never would have guessed it in a million years.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. I hear you. And by the way, I know you're a purist with two-stroke. We've covered that just so we know what side of the fence you're on. But but it's a funny thing too. Like I talk to some people. I'm going to do a really hard pivot here. Like when you talk about, supercars, and you see this stuff now with battery assisted, with naturally aspirated engines, like the Lamborghini Aventador and the Revolta or whatever it's called that replaced it. And I probably butchered the name, but and like the Huracan platform, it's got like a decade under its belt. They're shifting gears. There's a new one coming out next year. Like, and people are like, well, it's not a naturally aspirated V10 or whatever, and it's going to be a V8 with electric battery, quote unquote, assist and takeoff, and you got your purists that are like, no, it needs to be a roaring V10 behind your ears, or but I'm like, or like, hey, let's see what they got. You could have a V8 with some battery tech and some computer tech, way above my pay grade, and this thing could be rocking 800 horsepower and 800 foot-pounds of torque. With no lag, and just a more exhilarating driving experience, So it is wild to see like the culmination of traditional, manufacturing and thinking, and what we've always done, but also all this new stuff that you just have a buffet to like choose from as a manufacturer. Like that is a wild approach, man. I can only imagine the high level conversations you guys are like, hey, so where do we go from here? So that's good stuff. But Well, that's what I got. If you guys want to see where that road points to, I will give you guys a grand invitation and roll out the orange, carpet to Echo's booth at Equip Expo. They didn't ask me to plug anything. I don't know of any new things coming down the pike. I'm not privy to that kind of info. That's above my pay grade. You know what I'm saying, Jason? But I'm sure there's always something new, something exciting. I always swing by the Echo booth at Equip Expo to see the latest and greatest. Their team there is always very kind, very welcoming. I invite you guys to do so as well. But Jason, anything you want to leave us? Where can they maybe find some info? And then anything that you want to leave us? And we'll wrap this thing up, man. It's been a really fun interview today.
Yeah, likewise. No, I appreciate the time. So, yeah, just, as far as checking out any of our latest and greatest products, a lot of times we have new products that come out after we printed our 2023 catalogs. Probably the best resource for that is our website, which is echo-usa.com. And then as far as any other new products that are coming down the pipeline, everyone will just kind of have to wait and see to the big unveiling at Equip. I can tell you we'll have an expanded outside demo area with a bunch of new fun products for everyone to try out. So really looking forward to that October show.
That's awesome, man. All right. Well, cool deal. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about Echo as well, we'll leave links in the description for the website. It's is it echo-usa.com? Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Hey, see, I still got it. I got it right. Man, it's a lot to remember: SKUs, brands, product numbers, product play, websites, and I'm still sharp. I still got it. I feel like I'm doing pretty good here. But no matter how much two-stroke fuel I've smelled over my years, but I digress. But it's still hanging in there, doing a good job. But hey, Jason, you're a busy man. I'm gonna cut it right there. You're awesome. Thanks so much for taking time to be on our lowly show. We do appreciate it. If you guys want to reach out to the Echo team, check out the website, check them out on social, check them out at the Equip Expo booth, indoor and outdoor, and come find Jason. Say, hey, I heard you on Brian's show. Thanks for taking time to pour into us, and tell them about the latest and greatest Echo equipment that you guys just purchased, and let them know that their investment is doing a good job in our socials to help you guys stay motivated out there as you guys are cutting that grass and making that cash. So, Jason, that's what I got, brother. Thanks so much for being on the show. We will catch up with you here on the next one, my friend.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for listening to this episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Guys, we absolutely look forward to catching up with you here on the next one.
When it comes to running a lawn and landscape business, there's always something to worry about. Are my drivers and crews doing their job? Are my clients happy? Are my trucks and machines safe? How can I make more money? Where can I save some money? With GPS Track It, you don't have to worry about it, because our software gives you a level of clarity and control over your business that you've never had. From real-time vehicle and asset tracking and optimized routing to efficiency reports and more, reach your fullest business potential. Call 866-845-1410 or visit gpstrackit.com/BrianLM to get started. That phone number and special link are in the show description. GPS Track It.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.